Hey YouTube, what's going on? Today I'm pretty excited because I'm going to be setting up my first shrimp tank. And this tank is it's a 10-gallon tank that I picked up from Petco. They had a dollar per gallon sale, which is pretty awesome. If you are lucky enough to find whenever these sales happen, I think they're pretty random. Um, but I happened to find the sale, so I picked this up, and I also picked up another tank that eventually I'll get around to doing. It's a 20-gallon long, and I think we'll be doing some cool things with that. But I actually have a tank already, and I'll probably do a separate video about this tank, and I have a lot to say about this tank. It's been quite an experience with this, and I wish I would have had videos about it from when I was going through it, but um, it is what it is. We'll talk about that later. But I do have some shrimp in there, but it's not exclusively a shrimp tank. There's one little fish in there. Spoiler, there used to be many more fish in there. This one though, I'm gonna do some Neo Carodina. I believe I'm gonna go with some blue shrimp. I'm pretty new to this hobby, so I'm not quite sure if there's specific name. Like I've heard blue dreams and blue this and that. I don't know. I know there's different flavors of the blue shrimp, but I want some kind of blue shrimp. So I'm gonna do this tank here. Sorry about that. I got interrupted. So yeah, I want to do some blue shrimps in here. So what I've got here, we've already talked about the aquarium. I've got an Aqueon Pro 50-watt heater for up to 20 gallons. I think this will be plenty. I live in Florida, so it's pretty warm here most of the year. So I really only need this in emergencies. If it gets, sometimes it can get pretty cold at night during the winter, and by cold I mean cold for shrimp, not necessarily for people. They can get down into the 40s, which is a bit chilly, but uh, you know. So we've got that inside here. I have this little sponge filter. I'll probably be doing a video about sponge filters here in the future, and just filters in general. I've learned a lot about filters, so I want to talk about that. And we've got our air pump here to hook into the filter, get it going. I also have some cholla or cholla wood, depending on how you say that. I got this off of Amazon, and I'm not entirely happy with it. I guess my expectations were a little different. I got one good size piece in here. They're all the right length that I ordered, but they are 3 different sizes in diameter. I thought they were all going to be these bigger ones, so maybe that's how they were supposed to be, and I'm just an idiot and didn't read all the details of the product. So I'm going to recheck that, and if it doesn't say that, I might, I don't know, I might leave a review or inquire about what's going on with these pieces, because I feel like I got conned a little bit. But anyways, they're still going to work, and I'm sure the shrimp will be happy with these. Everybody who keeps shrimp tank, well, not everybody, but a lot of people have this, so this should be good. And then I do eventually want to put plants in here. I'm not quite sure what type of plants. Probably some moss. If I get some more of my Java moss growing, I'll probably use some of that, and maybe a few other plants. Not entirely sure, but because of that, I do have some plant nutrient-rich substrates, and I decided to use, get this out of the way, to try Fluval this time. My other tank, I have something else in there, so I wanted to try this. And it also lowers pH, which is kind of nice because here in Florida we have very hard water, and with that comes high pH. I mean, my pH is anywhere from 7.5 to 8.2, which is quite high for a lot of anything, really, unless I buy locally bred fish. So I'm curious to see how this works. I've never used something like this that lowers the pH. So I don't know. I'm curious. I'm curious to see how this how this actually how it performs. And then lastly, I went with Stingray Finex razor thin LED lights, which has let's see, here it is, yeah, full spectrum LED blend daylight red and blue LED. So this should be good for a low tech, low light plants. Not doing anything fancy in here. I'm not going to do any CO2. At least I don't think I'm going to do any of that. I don't think that's necessary probably for low light plants. So we'll get that set up and get this thing cycling. I think I'm going to cycle it new. I'm not going to use any existing media filters because this tank, like I said, I'll just make a separate video on that because I can go on and on and on about this thing here. The little hint. Problems, a little empty quarantine tank, not a lot of fish. You can probably do the math on that. So yeah, we'll just start breaking this down and see how it goes. Alright guys, we're back, and so one thing I decided to do was to boil the cholla wood, and what that's supposed to do is remove some of the tannins. Some tannins in shrimp tank, I guess, are good for your shrimp. They help prevent fungus and other diseases, and has other beneficial properties to help the shrimps. But that wasn't the main reason I boiled it. One was to help the wood sink. So this wood is pretty porous. It's going to hold a lot of beneficial bacteria for us, help grow some biofilm for the shrimps to eat. And when I put water in here, I don't want them to float. The small one actually does sink already, at least it did in the pot. The other two seemed like they were about ready to sink. But I boiled them for about 20-25 minutes, so we'll see what happens. I decided to put the filter over here, just a simple sponge filter, in the heater. The thought process on this was that as the water gets siphoned up into here, and I'll probably have this turn here, that hopefully some of the heated water will move into the sponge and out the top to help push heat throughout the tank, as well as any water around the heater to be kind of pushed away this way as well. So we'll get some heat circulation going. That's the thought anyways. I don't know. We'll see how that goes. If I don't like the circulation, I can always buy a, sorry, there's a lot of glare going on here. I can always put a small power head in there to help increase circulation. So that's what it looks like right now. I have to go out and meet some family, so we're gonna just let this sit, and I'll occasionally think about the setup. Eventually we'll get some plants in there, maybe on the cholla wood or behind there, and whatnot. So I don't know. It's very simple, but we'll just see how it goes. And when I come back tonight, we'll go ahead and finish it off with the Finex Stingray light, fill it with water, take a look at it, and start the cycling process. And then we'll just continue to monitor it from there. I'll have update videos as we move forward. So I'll see you guys in a minute, and we'll see how it looks.